Hey, good morning, everybody. It's great for me to be back with y'all. I think it's been over a month since I've been able to be on a beef brunch. This is your beef brunch news update for July 22nd. You won't be able to see our shining faces today. Everybody except for me is on the road. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off. Lee, if you will start us with your Northwest update and the markets, please.
Well, thank you, Ashley. Glad to be with you all today. We really enjoy visiting with you all every other week like we do. It's been a busy summer, as Ashley noted, with a lot of travel, and everybody's been on the road quite a bit. So glad to be somewhat getting back into a routine. So summer has really taken a hold in Northwest Louisiana, as I'm sure everybody else will report in their areas. Hot, very humid, dry in places. I know that's a shocker, but you get farther west in the northwest region, in parts of the Red River Valley, and on into the western parishes, i.e., parts of Caddo, DeSoto, and on down. There are pockets of pretty good dryness there. Places that have missed out on these pop-up summer thunderstorms that we've had. The last week we've seen quite a bit of that. So the weather just keeps the temperature keeps cranking up higher and higher, and so it's summertime. I mean, it is what it is, I guess, but it doesn't make it any easier. Cattle working is being held at a minimum. I was down in Natchitoches Parish yesterday on a farm, and on the way there, I noticed them pinning some cattle very early yesterday morning. I'm sure they were trying to wean off some calves or do something like that. There's very little cow working going on, except to market some calves or maybe some cold cows, but very little in the way of cattle working. Everybody's thoughts have been on hay and pasture management. A lot of spraying going on in between rains. Uh, we've seen hay production really ramp up the last couple of days with the clearing of the weather and everything. The abundant rain in places has brought quite a good bit of hay out there, and everybody's trying to hustle and get it put up. And they're racing, of course, two things. One is before the temperatures get it before quality declines, and of course the armyworm. That's a dirty word to talk about, but they are out, they are present, they are eating. Seeing quite a bit of Bermuda grass stem maggot activity too. So nothing new as far as that goes. We deal with these pressures every summer. Getting into the markets, boy, I tell you, this is a great time. I've run out of words and ways to describe this market and what kind of condition we're in as far as that goes, but it's just phenomenal. Record setting. You see national records broken almost every week. We might have pulled back just a little bit this week, but I don't know if we'll see any records broken this week. But my gosh, these prices are just nosebleed level. It's incredible what these cattle are bringing right now, folks, and it's just words can't describe what it's like right now, and it's got a lot of folks nervous because of how high the market is right now. But boy, it sure is a good time to sell cattle, and it's brought a lot of cattle to town, folks. And we saw it with the fall-born calves back in April and May, and we saw some of those cattle come to town a little early. Well, we're starting to see, in my opinion, some of these cattle that were maybe some early spring-born, really winter-born calves hit the markets right now, and they're really swelling some numbers at the sale barns with these really high prices. Going to be interesting to see what happens later on in the year, especially when we get into what's traditionally our fall runs, when all those late winter, spring born calves start hitting the market, say late September all the way through October. Be interesting to see how many of those calves get early marketed, what that's going to do to those fall runs there. That being said, I'm going to give you the market report as I've got it, and everything for the period of July 7th through July 21st. Here are the averages. These are self-reported averages, folks. Averages of the prices. 500 to 600 pound steers, $2.84 per pound to $3.74 per pound. 500 to 600 pound heifers, $2.58 per pound to $3.51. Cull cows, $1.35 to $1.81. Cull bulls, $1.60 to $2.02. The average of high prices paid on bred cows, $2,855.56, and on pair cattle, $3,700. So, folks, I really appreciate your time. I hope you're having a good summer. Hope you're enjoying the weather, because there's not much we can do about it. And y'all have a very good rest of your week, and we'll talk at you soon.
Thank you, Lee, and safe travels. Tripp, I know you're waiting to do a farm call as well, so we'll kick it on over to you for the Northeast region.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Edwards, and thank y'all very much for having me on this news update every other week. I really enjoy my time here getting to give the update for the Northeast region. Lee, you might as well call your update the North Louisiana update, because there's a whole lot of what you said that carries over into the Northeast region. Perhaps we've gotten a bit more rain than y'all have in the Northwest region, but I'll go ahead and fall into my update. Guys, I'm honestly not real sure what to say about the Northeast region for an update, other than everybody's fighting something, whether it be insects or whether it be weather. The issues across the region have been very erratic. You can talk to two producers that live 10 miles from one another, and you would think they were living in different states. Over the last couple of weeks, rainfall totals have gone between half an inch and up to 2 inches. And yeah, that really wouldn't be too much of a problem if we got it all in one shot. But what we've been fighting are these small amount rain events. You know, get a tenth here and a tenth there, not enough to really pull you out of a hole if you've gotten dry, but just enough to totally shut down a hay cutting event. We did get a little window starting yesterday, really, Monday. A lot of hay in Northeast Louisiana got laid down, and they're trying to get it picked up by Thursday. Come Thursday, the rain chances are jumping up to about 15%, and then after Thursday, they're going to stay in the 20% range for about the next 2 weeks. So some producers are optimistic that they'll be able to get some hay picked up in this window. There's been a few gaps there where people have been able to get some hay picked up the last couple of weeks. What I've seen has been high volume, poor quality hay. Not saying the hay's junk or anything like that, or needs to be put in a wash or even close to that. It's been decent hay, but the qualities might not be quite what the producers were hoping for. But boy, what they missed on quality, I'm telling you, volume has just been absolutely out the roof from what I've seen. But like I said, these small rain events that we have been getting have got a lot of guys pushed back to now even considering making their first cutting. And whenever the hay season gets pushed back this far in the season, people start worrying about a shortfall of hay. I'm not sounding any alarms here. I'm just saying that if we don't have favorable conditions from here into the fall, where producers can make a good second cut, and hay supplies might get tight this year. Like I said, with the erratic nature of it, where some producers have had excellent years and some people have struggled, that might kind of balance out, and there wind up being a solid supply for us. It's not like we're talking about one of our drought years, but it could get tight on us if we keep having these pop-up showers and small rain events across the Northeast region moving into fall. And we aren't the only ones that are worried about that. Sun Up TV, the Oklahoma State production that they air on RFD network for Oklahoma, they're dealing with their similar conditions up to the northwest of us. So it might wind up being a bit of a tight supply regionally. So if you're a producer that relies on purchasing your hay, I would advise you to go ahead and be securing it, be locking it down, make sure you have what you need to make it through the winter. Lee alludes to the fact that the fall armyworm has begun peeking his head up and causing some issues. It's been very sporadic across the Northeast region. I have scouted fields, multiple locations across the region, have found them in populations that merited treatment. Remember, population threshold for fall armyworm is going to be 2 worms per square foot. Whenever you are scouting for worms, it's really handy to make a PVC square that you can toss out, a 1 foot by 1 foot square. That way you truly know what you're looking at, how many worms are in a square foot. And it also gives you the opportunity to kind of toss it like a Frisbee and be random whenever you're scouting a field. Several fields that I've looked at have had multiple generations of armyworms in there. We've talked about treatment for fall armyworms multiple times on this program, but if you're wanting more information on treatment of fall armyworms, feel free to reach out to your county extension agent. Also, our co-worker who's normally on this program with us, Miss Brittany Zonbreaker, did a wonderful video last summer of how to scout for armyworms. And with the populations that we've been seeing across all of North Louisiana, it sounds like it's definitely time to be getting out in your fields and taking stock of what's out there, planning treatments, and planning what you're going to do once populations do reach threshold. Because at this point, there's a pretty good chance that it's not a if now then when. But more problematic than the armyworms across the Northeast region, we've seen probably the highest population of Bermuda grass stem maggots that we've seen in quite a while, and I've seen that from Franklin Parish to Union Parish. It's been pretty universal across Northeast Louisiana, moderately high populations of Bermuda grass stem maggot, which it's a pretty challenging pest to control, and there's not a whole lot you can do once it gets into the grass. It's more of a management issue at that point. But just to be aware that they are in pretty high numbers across the region. Speaking of insects, hornfly numbers across the region have just gone through the roof in the past few weeks. Some pretty serious numbers of hornflies all across the Northeast region, all the way. Like I said, I've spent a lot of time in the last 2 weeks in Franklin and Union Parish and spots in between. Pretty universal across Northeast Louisiana. Hornfly pressure is high, and that's kind of getting into our normal summertime stuff. Erratic weather, fall armyworms are starting to show up, fighting stem maggots, hornflies, all these things we've talked about at length on this program and others. If you need any assistance in dealing with any of these issues, like I say, please feel free to reach out to your local extension agent. One last thing before I hop out of here. The deadline for entries for the State Fair Hay Contest is coming up quickly. So if you want to make an entry for this year's State Fair Hay Contest, get in touch with your local extension office. They can help you get a sample pulled and get it submitted for this year's contest. If you do not get your entry in time for this year's State Fair Hay Contest, you will automatically be enrolled in next year. So if you want a shot at it for this year, be going ahead and getting those entries in the next week or so. But don't fret if you wind up pushing past the deadline for this year. You'll automatically be enrolled into next year's program. And that pretty well wraps up the update for the Northeast region. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Tripp. Safe travels today. And for our Central and South Louisiana update, we have Vince on with us. So Vince, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Edwards. And a lot of the things that were mentioned by Lee and also Tripp are taking shape or have been going on here in Central and South Louisiana. Overgrown hay. We're finally getting an opportunity to get some hay laid down and picked up. We had a tropical system last week that gave anywhere from 2 inches of rain to a half inch of rain in areas. It's real sporadic. And the repeat performance is coming Thursday, Friday, Saturday from according to the forecast. So there's a lot of hay on the ground right now. So producers will be busy the next couple of days trying to get that all put up. So as Tripp mentioned about hornfly pressure is extremely high right now. So when we get in these hot, dry periods, we're kind of in between. Our days are dry periods are short because of our rain events. And these tropical systems, but the heat stress and the fly populations are pretty high right now. So always talk about bulls and heat stress related to bulls, and it's getting to be the off season for bulls. So make sure that they got plenty shade, plenty good drinking water sources, and not have to rely on pond water. Because they're gonna find a water hole to go sit in or cool off, or what they think is cooling them off, and maybe get themselves in trouble by bogging down or what have you. So just be mindful of those situations as we get into the peak days of summer, and it's extremely hot. In fact, yesterday, today, and probably into Thursday, up till Thursday, we'll be in under heat advisory here in the central part of Louisiana and South. So we need to be cautious of that. They talked about armyworms. We're starting to see some armyworm populations kick up. Predominantly where we see in a lot of broadleaf signal grass or crabgrass, as it's commonly referred to in South Louisiana. That seems to be the preferred, but I was actually walking through a Bermuda stand yesterday where they hacking on it pretty good. So those populations are kicking up. Also, Tripp mentioned the Bermuda stem maggots. We've probably seen the early run of that. I say early, it's already July 22nd, and we're just getting into hay fields now. But producers are noticing some diminished stands, or I guess for lack of better terms, stands that are not healthy, stands that are not growing well, and the tops are dead in them. So we've gotten some of those calls and conversations about that. So the Bermuda stem maggot it's obvious whenever you go into a field and you see those tops are kind of reddish to a golden color. You can go right in there and pull that center part of that plant at it. It's just disrupting the growing point. So it diminishes your stand and the possibility of getting that accelerated growth that we look for in our Bermuda. And in a lot of cases, we have Alicia and also a lot of jigs Bermuda in South Louisiana. So those stands can be detrimental to those stands and making that production that you're hoping for. With that being said, we have a lot of overgrown hay. As Tripp mentioned, the tonnage is going to be high as far as the amount of production. Quality is questionable. So get your hay sampled and tested. That's a critical thing to know where you're at as far as nutritional needs going into the winter feeding period. So that's just one of the tools that we have available, and we can do that for you. So you might want to reach out to your local extension agent to get those samples pulled and analyzed for you. Also, soil testing, getting a number of calls about poor performing hay fields and pastures. Get your soil tested. That's the benchmark to know where we're at. As we move into the fall, it's going to be time to put, if you need lime, ideally the fall time of the year is time to put lime out. We even have producers trying to do some prep on planting ryegrass. It's hard to imagine. We haven't cut much hay yet, and we're already talking ryegrass. We're 90 days away roughly from planting ryegrass. So if you're going to make any late season herbicide applications, you need to be cautious of the label and the restrictions. Some of these pasture herbicides require a minimum of 60 days prior to planting ryegrass over, following those applications. So be aware of that. Some of those products have a residual effect that might affect your ryegrass stands. So we want to be cautious of that. It's probably ideal time of the year if you're going to catch those cows and get them worked or have some work to do with them, put an insecticide tag in, but make sure you're rotating, or if you haven't used one in several years, any one of them will do fine, avoiding building that resistance to those insecticide products on those fly tags. We always recommend follow the labeled instructions on that. Most of them require 2 to get effective control and to get that population down on those cattle where they can be comfortable. So with that being said, it's pretty typical here in Central Louisiana and South Louisiana of all the things that Tripp and Lee spoke of. Again, the market's extremely hot. The local barns have been popular. Getting these some younger calves. I mean, cows or young cows that might have their first calves on them. Getting them to market. It's extremely lucrative right now to get those calves and give those cows a break before we get into the fall, and they can recoup and put some body condition, increase their body condition by a score or 2, and get them where they need to be as far as coming in with their possible second or third calves. So under this heat stress, it's always be mindful of the precaution, take the precautions, and give them plenty shade, give them plenty drinking water, clean those water troughs out if you get a chance. And that's kind of where we're at here in the Central and South Louisiana.
Thank you. I'm trying to come on multiple screens and I couldn't find my mouse. Thank you for that, Vince. And Brittany did send me information as well, which of course Vince covered. The one thing I'm going to tack on that she asked that I discuss is Brett Richard is putting together a Cattlemen's Association event this Friday. And so that information is just called the Cattlemen's Gathering. It is being hosted by Louisiana Cattlemen's Association. They're in District 5. So this will be in Welsh at the Lacassine Community Center. All that information, the flyer and everything, is at the Louisiana Cattlemen's Association website. I think I've shared it as well on Facebook. So jump on there. If you can't find it, shoot me a text or an email, and I'll get that information to you. But again, that will be this Friday, July 25th. It's the social hour they have starting at 5. And so they'll have food and music and a couple of talks associated with that. And then as far as our upcoming events go, I know, I think back in May, I said, oh, we're slowing down for the summer, but we haven't had any large in-person producer events, but I know all of our agents, as we've mentioned, have been on the road and traveling, myself included. But we are starting to pick up for the fall. So to kick us off, coming in August, Tripp is hosting a Northeast Region Small Ruminant Workshop. That's going to be Friday, August 8th from 3 to 5 p.m. In the Union Parish Extension Office in Farmerville. I have Tripp's information here, and he can get more information to you. So if you're a sheep and goat person listening to this in North Louisiana, reach out to Tripp about that event. We are currently working on our grazing school. We don't have that fully advertised yet. If you're interested in it, you can send me an email and I'll pass it on. Dr. Kurt Guidry coordinates that. These dates I think are being finalized, but don't hold me to them 100%. So there's 5 workshops associated with that. And it looks like those workshop dates are going to be September 12th and 26th, October 10th and 24th, and then November 7th. So that's different topics. So the grazing school is inclusive of all 5 of those dates if you want to successfully complete that program. We are looking at having it at the Iberia Research Station in Jeanerette. So more information on that will be coming soon. And then in September, we have 2 beef, cattle, and forage field days. Our Dean Lee Research and Extension Center's field day is on Thursday, September 11th. Registration and the vendor show and all that will kick off at 2 p.m. We meet at the State Evacuation Shelter there in Alexandria, right by Dean Lee Research Station, LSUA, that area. And so we'll get more information on talks and how to RSVP and all that to you soon. The following Thursday, so exactly a week later, on September 18th, will be the Northeast Beef and Forage Field Day. I know Tripp and Dr. Netto met about that yesterday to start kind of getting all of those together. That is going to be at the Gold Mine Plantation in Mangham. Again, we're working on that RSVP information. So for both of those field days, they're coming up. But again, the Dean Lee on September 11th and Northeast on September 18th. Those are always the second and third Thursdays of September, respectively. I did not say, I should have said the Northeast will start at 8 a.m. Southeast Research Station is also hosting a dairy, beef, and forage field day that's going to be on Wednesday, October 1st. More information, excuse me, more information on that will come soon as well. Our cattle pregnancy determination clinics here at the Hill Farm in Homer. Again, that's a 1-day clinic, but we offer it twice within a week. So you have 2 opportunities for that. Those are going to be on Tuesday, October 7th and Thursday, October 9th. Again, we say it all the time, but I'm going to keep reiterating it over and over. We have an extensive wait list for that. We can only take 15 people per day. I think we have over 30 on the wait list. That does not mean that all 30 will be available and able to come. But if you're interested in it, email me or email Lee to get on that wait list now. The same goes with our artificial insemination school. So our one in October is at the Dean Lee Research and Extension Center in Alexandria. That is going to be October 15th through the 17th. So it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Again, I have over 40 people on the wait list for the AI schools. And so email me if you would like to be placed on that wait list. I can only take 15 people for that as well. And then finally, the other thing to save the date for is going to be our Louisiana Forage Conference. That is going to be Friday, December 5th at our State Evacuation Shelter there in Alexandria. And we'll, of course, have more information as we get closer to that. So if anything else pops up as we come along, we'll, of course, let you know. And I think that's all. Vince, are you good?
I'm good. I'm ready to put a jacket on this fall.
I am too. It's actually kind of chilly in my office right now. So I'm enjoying that before I have to step back outside.
No, it's it's extremely hot. Just, the words of caution, about, the heat and the heat stress is we can't say it enough. Stay hydrated and make sure that you're taking care of yourself while you're out doing these necessary chores as we move through the summer.
That's right. And I'll sound like a mom just because I was working with our state livestock ambassadors last week, but eat breakfast. We had to make sure those kids were eating breakfast before we were outside in the mornings for those different events. So with that, we will see y'all again in just a couple of weeks.